Good evening and welcome to the April 15th, 2015 meeting of the Gaithersburg Planning Commission. First up is the approval of our minutes from April 1st. And I know, I guess, Jerry, you were out for that meeting, correct, so you'll abstain, okay. And Joe was out, but he's not here tonight. So is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes of April 1st, 2015 as read into the record.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that would be 401, right?
Math.
I didn't let you say abstain, but I did the math. All right, the only item on the agenda tonight is a recommendation to Mayor and City Council on STP 6905 2015, the Metamune Child Care Facility, and presenting from staff is Rob Robinson. Good evening, Rob.
Good evening, Commissioners. On your screen, just to begin, is the orientation to the site. This is the Metamune campus. The area highlighted in red is roughly where the child care facility is proposed to go. The joint public hearing on STP 6905 2015 was held March 16, 2015, and during that public hearing, basically the main facets that were presented was the competitive need for the proposed use, the programming of the facility, the physical siting of the facility, and its compliance with any applicable Sixth Amendment to the X-129 annexation agreement, and the architectural design intent. There were three speakers from the public, and during the focus of the discussion, two main points came out, and one of them was basically the operational issues of the intersection of the entrance into the site with Winterwalk Drive and Orchard Ridge Drive, and potential pedestrian pathway connections through the Metamune campus to the site. Since the public hearing, I'd like to just briefly walk you. There weren't a lot of physical changes since the public hearing. Of note, what you will notice is clearly defined now, these spaces in the front of the building are handicap and for the drop-off of children. This sidewalk was actually pulled away from the curb for better pedestrian flow through the site. The entrance median was extended to direct incoming traffic to, I'm calling this now the western entrance or northern entrance, depending upon your orientation, and allowing the flow through. As I said, those were the gist. There were some minor tweaks to things such as spot elevations in response to comments from WSSC and the like. At the Commission's suggestion, one of the other changes, which I'll get into sort of later, was the straightening of the sanitary line and pulling it off the forest conservation to not preclude and potentially facilitate a more direct pedestrian access. That was basically more or less the main sites. To the other point, in response to the questions about the operational traffic, the applicant's team submitted a revised actual traffic study. And in addition to the site distance analysis, this document included an existing condition operational analysis, a future condition post-facility construction traffic projection that incorporates generational rates, directional assignments, and intersection operation. It's a lot to remember, so that's why I have to read. They basically had four findings, and basically, currently it's operating at level service A. Even at the maximum build-out of 20,000 square feet, it will still operate at a level of service A. There is no need for D-cell, A-cell lanes coming out. The actual left-hand turn cut for a left-hand turn movement from Orchard Ridge works. At the request, we had asked that they study the U-turn movements because that was one of the things brought up by the public during the joint public hearing. And based upon the study, they find that there's not going to be enough generational rates in the peak hours to negatively impact how people are currently using the U-turns. I would like to note, as I did in the staff analysis, this was thoroughly reviewed by Engineering Services Division Chief Mumpower, and he concurs with the findings. So at this stage, and even going into final, we feel this will operate as intended. Now, that doesn't mean over the course of time stuff will not be re-reviewed. But I just want to say, we sort of jumped the gun. That's something that we normally do a final site plan, and we completed it here.
Did they assume a fourth leg on the circle, or is it just the three?
Just as this works right now.
Okay.
There was, because once again, this is the city park, we really don't know yet what we're going to do with that circle, if we're going to do a fourth leg.
Okay.
With that, the other issue, once again, going back, please bear with me, overall site plan. The pathway system, in your packet, submitted by the applicant was a response to that, and they're very amenable to exploring this, but they do have some concerns, and they did raise them in the letter One of them is the elevation changes, making sure they comply with Americans with Disability Act, impacts to forest conservation easements. Also it's because some of it would be city property, and they have to be very concerned about how they would work going across the meadows because they do have development rights under the annexation agreement. So they don't necessarily want to preemptively do something that may preclude development potential that is farther off. They're going to review stuff. They even committed to that. We've done as a condition to address this that they must complete the fees. We're putting in as a recommended condition to the SDP that they must complete this feasibility study by occupancy of this building. We don't, with all the different facets, including, as I mentioned in the staff analysis, from the staff's perspective, they also have to go, how is the Army Corps of Engineers, the Maryland Department of the Environment going to feel about permitting something like this? Because there are wetland and potential stream impacts. So, again, we put that they have to complete this feasibility study for staff review by occupancy permit of this building. We feel this gives them enough time to do a thorough analysis. This gives us the ability to review it. It doesn't delay them using this facility and taking full advantage of it. But at least then we'll have a sense of what can really occur, and that could either come in as its own plan separately, or it could be piggybacked on a future site plan throughout the site.
Technically, right now, the parcel is all one piece, or are there property lines?
Yes, the Meadows is one parcel, and this is just one section of it. In discussions with the applicant and his team, obviously, we seem to feel, as a more intense use development comes in on the Meadows, at that point, we'd probably do, it may benefit to do subdivision at that point.
Okay. All right.
Real fast, the only other thing, again, the architecture has not changed. We're very supportive. The design intent was included in the public hearing. Making use of nature, making use of natural topography, interesting building materials, cool design, lots of natural light. We feel it'd be a great benefit to children. In short, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend to the Mayor and Council adoption of SDP 6905
Right.
2015.
Yeah. Good. Any questions for Rob?
No.
Or the applicant, since they all came. Thanks for coming. It may be one of the less exciting meetings you've been to in the last week. But, so on the path piece, I appreciate the fact you guys are putting a condition around that for at least making sure the feasibility is thorough before any final decisions. And all the things with the parking movement, the dimensions of the parking areas, the traffic space. I mean, we're going to see that again really in formal terms at site plan, right?
Yes, but the only thing I think that you may see some tweaking with, because we sort of wanted to vet this, because it's a single building.
But my point really is that the concept seems really sound, but I don't think we spent any time really studying, exactly what it was doing. Just that it seems to work the way it's diagrammed. But you clearly have gone in deeper with an analysis or a review of it that probably looks more like site plan review at this point.
Yes, and we sort of wanted to make sure this was...
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say the concept looks really solid, but at final site plan we might spend a little more time looking at things like landscape setbacks and some
that
of the things.
That would be, the gist of the final site plan application is probably going to be obviously the final architectural elevations,
Yeah.
of course, the final 10% of engineering that's going to come in.
Right.
Definitely landscaping for sure.
Yeah.
And as what was brought up during the public hearing, a further analysis, pavement marking and signage, and photometric plans. We were very cognizant of what the one gentleman at the public hearing mentioned about the bus stop and with stop signs. So, while we know operationally from a traffic standpoint that intersection works, obviously we're going to look at it in more detail as to pedestrian safety crosswalks and stop signs.
Okay. Are any questions or concerns?
No.
You like it?
Oh,
Come on,
I
say
was
something.
just, I'm spinning out. I was just, I looked at it when we had the joint public hearing, and I came back and looked at it again. I was like, wow, a lot of nice work, bold design, just something that's going to be, a nice addition to the city. I mean, it has a great use, of course, but I just think the design is really, really, breathtaking. And kudos to you for taking this. You could have just made a box, put some kids in it, but you're trying to make it something nice.
Wow, that's simple.
Correct.
So,
I like the way the topography was worked into this. I think that was just excellent. Very, you preserved some of what was there already and made good use of it. It just blends very well.
Yeah.
just looking forward to some of the details of the low-impact development, looking forward to the final elevations, more out of just excitement than any sort of review reasons. I think it's a really great project. Obviously, my brokers are telling me constantly that we're in great need of more and more childcare in the area, so it's a filling a market need. Even though it's a private facility, obviously it takes up market need, absorbs market need, and I do appreciate straightening out that sanitary line. And then I think don't feel like this feasibility thing is a trap. It's really, we're trying to make it easy for the next phase to understand. Should something come up, that work is done now, and we understand that it's not an impossibility. It's actually very, very possible.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would just dovetail with what's been said. I think it gives a great example for future employers and current employers within the area to also take these kinds of steps, as bold as they are, and to give a sense of permanence in a lot of ways to the facility, and to give confidence to business community as well, that MedImmune and companies like MedImmune that go forward with a project like this are really partaking in the community. And I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to take advantage of this, and to, I would say, recommend this to the mayor and the city council with wholeheartedly endorsing.
Great. So I think you're hearing pretty solid support for the project. Nice work. I'm looking forward to seeing it come out of the ground. So I think with that, we're ready for a motion. You gave us your recommendation, right?
I'll reread it again just so I can add the language about the findings and the 3 conditions.
Okay.
So the staff recommends that the Planning Commission, upon the findings presented in the staff analysis, recommend approval of SDP 6905-2015 to the mayor and council with the 3 conditions presented in the staff analysis.
Right.
Okay. All right, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we recommend approval SDP 6905-2015 to the mayor and city council with the 3 conditions as read into the record.
Based upon the findings.
Second.
Based upon the findings, I'm sorry, based upon the findings.
Okay.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thanks very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Best of luck.
You can't hear it? Oh, sorry about that. That takes us to from the commission. Jerry, can I start with you, please?
Have nothing to.
Okay.
to add.
Nothing tonight? All right.
Just that I was had the pleasure of being part of the Heinz jury for the ULI Heinz Award last week, and really, really outstanding student work. Not in a sort of the cheesy way I did when I was a student, the sort of overblown ridiculousness of architecture school and planning school tends to do, but these are really, really grounded. I think there's a generation of designers and planners that are coming out of school right now, at least the 400 or so, 180 applicants we got. Really, really brilliant stuff. So I'm really excited about some of what we're seeing in the planning world coming out of our main educational institutions right now, and I think there's a lot of room for the city too to maybe take advantage of some of that knowledge. And if you haven't already seen it, it's the ULI Heinz Awards has a little website with a couple of the boards up there and the 4 finalists and the 1 winner.
What was the project, or what was the? It
was New Orleans. It was the little piece between Treme and the new hospital complex just north of I-10.
Yep.
Right up against the new park. They have the big greenway that goes all the way out to the city park.
Very nice.
Yeah, but great thing to look at if you're University of Maryland won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Save the kicker to the end there.
Fear the turtle.
Yeah.
Although in New Orleans they use a soup.
Yeah, really, really good soup.
There you go.
Ironic.
Yeah,
All right.
ironic.
I'd just like to thank the Parks Planning Group because of the great work they're doing in maintaining the parks. And now that the severe winter has finally ended, we can actually see the results coming up. And they're doing a great job. I see them, see those trucks all over the community now. Everything from raking to cleaning up the limbs that fell down from previous storms. And it really makes the community, makes the city look really good. And again, it goes right along with the plowing and cleaning during the wintertime. I mean, these guys are really on the ball, and just want to thank them again for a great job that they do every day.
Excellent. I'd second that.
Yep.
Danny?
I'll third it.
All right. Thanks.
I don't have anything else.
All right, good. So So Trudy or Marty, want to jump in?
I don't have anything. Trudy
Okay.
has a couple of them.
Just a reminder that the State of the City dinner is April 23rd, Thursday. It's at 6:30.
Oh,
You should RSVP.
so busy next year.
Yeah.
And
So you
our
say
next
that.
planning commission meeting's May 6th. And then on Monday, May 18th, there is a joint public hearing on the telecommunications facility ordinance.
Right, good. Okay, very good. If there's nothing else, have a good evening. We're adjourned.